Hello everybody, this is Jayden and this is The Word is Written. So I have the second video in our series of Peter and Jesus here, and this one is when Peter walked to Jesus on the water. So this is from Matthew chapter 14 verses 22 through 33. So here's the story. People followed Jesus everywhere he went. They wanted to hear him teach about God. After a long day of teaching near the Sea of Galilee, Jesus said goodbye to the crowds and told his disciples to go ahead of him in a boat. Then Jesus went up on a mountain to pray. Late at night, the disciples' boat was far from the shore. The wind began to blow and the water grew rough and choppy. The waves beat against their boat, while the winds pushed harder and harder against them. Very early in the morning, the disciples saw something coming towards them. It was Jesus walking on top of the water as if it were solid ground. The disciples cried out in fear, "It's a ghost." But Jesus called out to them, "Do not be afraid. I am Jesus." Peter said, "If it is really you, Jesus, tell me to walk on top of the water to you." So Jesus said, "Come." Peter climbed out of the boat and began walking on the water toward Jesus. How amazing! But then Peter began to notice how strong the wind was and got scared. He began to sink into the dark, stormy water. Peter cried out, "Lord, save me!" Immediately, Jesus reached out, grabbed Peter, and pulled him back up on top of the water. Jesus asked Peter, "Why did you doubt me? Is your faith really so small?" As soon as Jesus and Peter got back into the boat, the wind stopped. Everything was calm. Not only could Jesus walk on water, he could also control the wind and waves. The disciples worshipped Jesus and said, "It's true, you really are the Son of God." Now that story always amazed me, because if I was in a boat and I saw someone walking on water, I would have some serious questions. And if it was Jesus, yeah, I'd say, if it's really you, I guess. At the same time, I don't know, but I don't know if I would even attempt, because walking on water, just in our world, I guess it's impossible. It was also impossible for them. The thing was, what did Jesus do? Some of the review questions were, what did Jesus do after he sent the disciples out in the boat? So he went up to the mountain and prayed. And then what happened to the disciples late at night? Heavy storm rocked the boat violently. And then what amazing thing did Jesus' disciples see? He was walking on water. And then what did Peter ask Jesus to do? Tell Peter to walk to him on the water. And when did Peter begin to sink? When he noticed how strong the storm was. So those are just some kind of review questions. Again, this was for a camp for kids, VBC. So very simple, straightforward. And then these are really the ones that don't have, I guess, a set answer. And these are discussion questions. So some of Jesus' disciples were experienced fishermen. How bad would the storm have to be to frighten them? Now, it's important that we understand that, because people who go out into a boat, I guess, on the daily, will have to go out during storms. And they will experience weather that's, just bad. So for them to be worried about this storm would have to be really bad. For example, where I work, most, I guess, places, you have the roof, then just kind of like HVAC, electrical, stuff like that, and then the ceiling. Where I work, we just have the roof and the ceiling is one solid thing. And if it rains, you can hear it. When I was in college, there was one building where the roof was the ceiling. And I went to school in Florida, and if you don't know Florida, it rains every single day. And I don't mean like nonstop, but for that one class. So every day for 1 hour, it would rain. And it was only when I was in that class, which it's kind of cool. But at the same time, you could hear it. So for me to, I guess, get worried about heavy rain, which I don't really get worried about, because, it's rain, it's water, what's it going to do? It has to be really bad, because I'm used to hearing the rain hitting the roof and hitting it hard. So for them to be used to storms and bad weather and waves and craziness in the ocean or the lake or wherever, this would have to be really bad. So really the answer is, how bad would the storm have to be to frighten them? Really bad. More like hurricane storm. And then why do you think the disciples were afraid to see Jesus walking on top of the water? because he was walking on top of the water. Like I said, if I saw someone walking on water, I would have some serious questions. I would be curious, but also very cautious because people shouldn't be doing that. So, I mean, and the thing was, they knew Jesus was something special, but I don't know if they necessarily thought that he could, or if they thought they could, let alone would, walk on water. So they're afraid to see Jesus walking on top of the water because he was walking on the water. And then what do you suppose made Peter want to walk to Jesus on the water? And that one is, you could get many different answers depending on who you ask. So I guess for me, what made Peter want to walk to Jesus on the water was because he wanted to experience Jesus performing a miracle with him involved. Kind of like he wanted to go and be close to Jesus because, I mean, it's Jesus. He's just so amazing. And I feel like that's, like, he just wanted to really experience Jesus in his life. And then the fourth and final question is that Jesus' disciples had already seen him do miracles. Why do you think they were amazed when the fierce storm stopped? And kind of going back to, like I said, with the weather and stuff, is the last few days. Yeah, few days? I'm trying to think, because few means 3. So 2 days. Last 2 days. I was in Gettysburg, and we were in, like, an army-ish kind of tent, just the way it was shaped and styled. And all of a sudden, it just starts pouring rain. Like, I'm talking torrential. Like, basically where my stuff was, I had one thing that luckily could get wet. And there was a hole there. The thing was soaked completely. Like, I have never seen something that wet. And it was just pouring rain. And kind of like I said, hearing it on the top and stuff. And it was just pouring. And the rain didn't just stop. It kind of lightened up, got heavier-ish, and then lightened and lightened and lightened and lightened. And then also just storms in general. When there's thunder, lightning, and rain, it's like crazy and then kind of just slowly fizzles out. It doesn't just stop. This storm just stopped, just gone. The storms don't do that. And it was clearly Jesus doing that, because it was like as soon as he got in the boat, not like it's starting to fade, then once he got in, it was gone. It wasn't he's in the boat, now it's starting to fade. No, as soon as he got in, just gone, done, over. Clearly it was only Jesus. So that, and like I said, like, why were they amazed? Because people can't control the weather, but Jesus can. And I would be amazed if I saw Jesus control the weather. Alright, now, on to the cards. Like last time, we had a card with a fish. This time, we have a wave. And it says, I'm sorry about that. And it says, Jesus is trustworthy. So what does walking on water have to do with being trustworthy? And that's really a good question. So if we think about, I guess, Peter walking on the water to Jesus, is he had to trust Jesus to let him walk on the water. And now, kind of going back to what I said of how I can't walk on water. I'm fairly certain you can't walk on water. When I was with the kids, I said, I don't think any of you can walk on water, and they said they couldn't. But yeah, like, he couldn't walk on water himself, so he had to trust Jesus to let him walk on top of the water. And I feel like our lives can represent that water of, if we are going towards Jesus, we are walking to Jesus, we are going to stay on top of everything, or on top of the water. We're going to stay on top of everything. But when we start to look around and look away from Jesus, depending on what it is, like for this one, it said the storm. If we look at the storm, and by that I mean things in our life like work, school, financial problems, problems with friends, problems with family, anything like that, if it takes our focus from God, we're going to start to sink. And we're going to start to go below the waves. And so he would drown, we would drown in that. And we would lose God or lose sight of him. Of course, the surface is up and you can always go back to God. But the thing is that you need to trust God to let you get over. And by that, I literally mean like over things in life. And I guess get over things as in let it go. But the thing is, you need to trust Jesus to let you walk on top of the water to him. And it's very important that we stay aware of, because we do need to stay aware of the things around us. Because, yeah, a wave might come and out of nowhere, and we need to, I guess, necessarily see, okay, here's the wave, but let me focus here, in a sense, rather than, here's the wave, let me focus on the wave, if you guys get what I'm saying. You need to be aware, but you need to focus on Jesus. And don't let what I'm saying deceive you, as in only focus on Jesus. Because you do need to, I guess, in school and work, you need to focus on your work and on, I guess, what's going on in class. Make sure you're up to par with expectations of your supervisors, your teachers, I guess, just everyone in your life. But it's very important to know that Jesus is trustworthy. So I used to do this with the kids. Can't really do it because you're not here, but if you're watching at home, I encourage you to say it with me on the count of 3. So 1, 2, 3. Jesus is trustworthy. So, as always, if you have any questions, I will put it up on the screen. The email is the.word.is.written@gmail.com. If you have any questions about this video or any other questions, please let me know. Prayer requests, too. I always ask that you share those because I like to pray for people. If you don't feel comfortable sharing what you need prayer for, just say unspoken, and I will pray for that. And, God is good, and God is great, and I'll be praying for you, and hope to see you guys in the next video. God bless.